Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products we enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
Virginia soybean growers had their largest harvest ever last year. Winter is a great time to improve your garden knowledge. And we visit Chesapeake, Virginia to learn about the importance of agriculture in this urban community.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. This week we are coming to you from Strange's Florist and Greenhouse in Henrico County, and gardening is quickly becoming a top hobby among Americans. Later on in our show, we're going to meet one of Virginia's master gardeners and get some suggestions from them. But first, we're going to talk about one of the most valuable crops in the Old Dominion. As Dave Miller reports, 2017 was the 5th straight year for record harvest of Virginia soybeans.
The Purdue Agribusiness Processing Plant and Port Terminal in Chesapeake stays busy year-round. Each fall, trucks, barges, railroad lines, and large container ships all come together to transport Virginia's soybean crop. Ray Keating, head international merchandiser at Purdue, says the facility provides hundreds of local jobs and gives farmers a profitable market. And soybean growers aren't the only folks who broke a record in 2017.
Soybeans are by far our biggest product we handle here, where the soybean plant crushes 28 million bushels a year, and we try to export probably 35 to 40 million bushels of beans a year. So if you add that together, that's pretty close to 70 million bushels of beans a year. This year we've seen a very good crop. I think it's a combination of the weather, good yields, and more acres this year in our area. So as a matter of fact, this year we broke a record for our 10-hour unload for trucks. We unloaded 296 trucks. We broke our record by about 40 trucks.
Virginia's 2017 soybean harvest is expected to reach a total of 26.6 million bushels, 7% higher than expected and 23% higher than the year before. Timely rains, dry weather at harvest time, and scientific advances gave soybean growers a boost last year, and there's plenty of places those beans can be put to use.
The export market is great because you need some trade balance to take place, and Virginia is a big export state here on the coast. As far as domestic, we use the soybean meal to feed our chickens. So the soybean meal is processed into soybean meal and soybean oil, which the meal is then transported, some of it down to our facilities in North Carolina for feeding chickens down there. The oil is then sent up to our refinery in Salisbury, Maryland, or sent out to export, where it's turned into salad oils or cooking oil.
2017's record soybean crop is a bit of a surprise when you consider that growers statewide planted 10,000 fewer acres than in 2016, yet total production was 23% higher, thanks to significantly higher yields per acre. Commodity experts say in recent years, soybeans are less expensive to grow and are generally more profitable than corn, with current prices and demand.
When you look at this and the grain receiving facilities, those Virginia farmers are really only a few hours at most from a global market. You know, as the only deep water export grain facility on the East Coast, Virginia farmers have direct access to markets around the world, which increases the demand for their products, and by being close to the actual market where they sell the grain to Purdue, that increases their profitability.
Agriculture trade analysts report world demand for soybeans is increasing. As the economies of many countries grow, consumers there want more animal protein in their diets. That means more animal feed is needed, and soybean is the affordable solution that can easily be shipped around the world.
Because of our location, we have a strategic advantage as far as our products go. to like North Africa or to the Jamaica, Cuba, we do some business with. Now in the fall, China is the king soybean buyer. And we have a window, the US, between October and Jan, maybe Feb, where we are the supplier to China. The other times of the year, it could be South America or someone else. But so what we try to do is this time of year, October through Jan, we're trying to load as many big vessels that go through the Panama Canal that hold each about 2 million bushels. We try to do 15 to 20 of those as fast as we can.
In addition to good weather and better seeds, cooperative extension specialists say farmers deserve credit for the record soybean crop. In the past decade, growers have used global positioning satellite equipment and other tools to reduce fertilizer and chemical use, while still boosting yields. All of which leads to a win-win-win for Virginia farmers, the environment, and the farm economy. In Chesapeake, Virginia, this is Dave Miller.
590,000 acres of soybeans were raised across most of eastern Virginia in 2017. It was the top row crop in the Old Dominion in 2016, generating almost $579 million for growers on more than 2,500 farms. Soybeans have been a commercial crop in the U.S. since 1851, but were raised mostly for animal feed until 1904. That's when famous agronomist George Washington Carver discovered they were a valuable source of protein and vegetable oil. Soybeans are excellent rotation crops, with cotton and peanuts making them even more valuable to southern growers. Today, soybean products are used in everything from crayons to newspaper ink to biodiesel fuel.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about what a master gardener is from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
More than 90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made a promise to our local farmers to protect and preserve a way of life they'd worked so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member and enjoy the many benefits of membership. There's a local Farm Bureau in every county of the state. We think everyone should be a friend of the farm. Visit our website at vafb.com to learn more.
Want to be a better gardener? Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension visits with a master gardener today to explain more about that program and how it benefits the community from the ground up.
Well, hi, today we're at Virginia State University's Randolph Farm. We're at a community demonstration urban garden area, and we're going to be talking about master gardeners and what they are and how you can become one. We're here with Christy Brennan. Christy, you're a master gardener in Hanover County?
That's correct.
Well, we're gonna talk about that, but it's a little cold out here this time of the year, so why don't we go inside and talk about it?
That'd be great.
All right. Well, Christy, it is cold outside, and but it's getting closer to the springtime. We're going to be thinking about gardening, and so this term comes up, a master gardener, occasionally. And so a lot of people don't know what that means. What is a master gardener?
Master gardeners are people that really love to garden and want to work out into the community and learn as much as they can. So they join the Cooperative Extension Program, and they take 50 hours of training that first year.
Okay, 50 hours of training through a manual like this, and I see they learn things like soils and botany and fruit production and gardening and all kinds of things. So it's a real training program. You don't have to know a lot about gardening before this.
You don't have to. You just have to be enthusiastic, sign a contract that you will take the 50 hours of training, and then that you will volunteer and approve projects through your community for 50 hours that first year.
What's the wildest thing you've ever been asked?
Well, at a plant clinic booth, two young girls came up to me and asked me how they could have beautiful flowers all year long. And I said, oh, that's not too bad, you know. Well, I'll help you and give you some information on flowers at very different seasons, so you'll have consistent color throughout the whole year. And they said, no. I want plants that flower continuously 12 months out of the year. And I had to try to explain to them that plants don't do that. They have a resting stage and a stage where they flower. So that was the funniest one I've ever had.
That's good. So you do things after your training, you do things to volunteer. What would somebody typically do, or what kind of things have you done in the past?
Well, we do something called plant clinics where we go to farmers markets and county fairs, and we have a table, usually with a demonstration. We hand out scientific information, and we also answer consumers' questions. The first thing we always start people with is a soil test, and people get tired of saying, oh, you always start your conversation with the soil test. But it's so important to know the pH, just the pH of your soil, so you can actually put the right fertilizer down at the right time. Because if you have great soil, if you don't have the correct pH, plants can't take those resources up.
That's right.
It's just staying there. So it's really important that you get a soil test, that you work with the cooperative extension to learn what chemicals you can put on the lawn, when, what fertilizer you can put on the yard, when, and conserve resources.
So if this time of the year is a good time maybe to think about inquiring about the Master Gardener program?
It really is, because the garden is kind of dormant right now. There are very few things that you can grow. But the Master Gardeners have usually a class that goes for 3 months, twice a week, so you can get your 50 hours of training in. Okay. And all you have to do is contact your local extension office to figure out when those classes are.
Okay, and probably the same thing if you're a gardener out there and doesn't really have the time right now to maybe do this, but might need help in their garden or might have questions about their lawn. They call their extension office?
Call the extension office. Usually the Master Gardeners are manning the phone booth. You can ask a question. You can also go online and enter your questions in, and they go to Master Gardeners.
Well, this is a great statewide program, and I know just by you all helping and making people better gardeners, they're going to be more efficient in the way that they grow their plants and for the environment.
You can do sustainability of resources very, very simply. You can conserve water and on your own landscape by rain barrels, right, by reducing the plot of yard that you have, a lawn, and putting in native plants. They're very simple things you can do to make the world a better place. We can protect our insects by using pesticides wisely, using the correct pesticide at the correct time. We can, Master Gardeners teach homeowners to look at labels, to identify the correct problem, and look at the pesticide and fertilizer labels to determine what they really need at what time, which is really a smart landscaper.
Well, great. Well, maybe we'll see you at the State Fair next year. I know you have the booth there for the Master Gardeners.
That's right. I man the Virginia Master Gardener booth, and I try to get as many Master Gardeners from different areas to man the booth for me during the State Fair.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Christy, for coming by today and telling us about the Master Gardener program. I appreciate all the work you do for that program.
Thank you. You'll see us out there with historic land sites. We do a lot of work in our communities. We're everywhere if you just look.
Okay. Well, for more information about Master Gardening or becoming one, please contact your local county extension office. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Winter is a great time for something warm and filling. Chef John Maxwell has a recipe that fits this bill: Virginia spoonbread from corn grits in the heart of the home.
Cold weather calls for warm meals in the kitchen. Chef John Maxwell prepares Virginia spoonbread using corn grits in the heart of the home.
Hi, welcome to the Heart of the Home. I'm Chef John Maxwell, and we're here at Meadow Hall in Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. And we're getting ready to play with some great Virginia food. We're working with grits today. Good, stone ground Virginia grits. Right? We've got, they're already cooked. You don't buy them already cooked, you got to cook them. But this is something to do with your leftover grits, or it's something to do with freshly cooked grits just for this dish. It's a spoonbread made with grits. All right, so I've got the cooked grits in here. I know I'm saying grits a lot, right? But that's what this dish is. Right? So I'm going to add some eggs. 3 eggs to this. And I'm going to mix that in. I just don't want the eggs to be whole. It doesn't have to be completely homogeneous because I've got other things to go in here that will help with that process. I'm going to add a cup of milk. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some baking powder and some baking soda. All right? Now, the acid in the milk is going to start that to rise, so you need to be relatively quick about this at this particular time. All right? And then I'm going to add the buttermilk, which is high in acid, so that should start to activate this. So I'm going to add the baking powder, baking soda, all right, and some chives. Give that a little contrasting color. And now I'm going to add the buttermilk. And now mix that up. I'd like it to be as lump-free as possible. All right. And now I've got some cheese. Now I'm using Asiago cheese. You can use any kind of meltable cheese. You want to use Swiss or cheddar. Parmesan will work. Mozzarella will work. But mozzarella will give you a little stringy texture. Now this is Asiago. And I'm going to let this sit now so that any of the lumps can help dissolve before I mix it the last time. So now I've got a bread pan here. And I'm going to prep the bread pan with some butter. I'm just going to rub the sides with butter. I want to get a reasonable coating, but I don't want the butter to be so thick that it melts and pools in this. Just want it to coat. This will help keep it from sticking. And because we're talking about grits, and grits are sticky, so we're not optimistic that this is going to keep it from sticking entirely, but it will help minimize that. All right, well, the lumps are all pretty much dissolved here. It's a nice mix. I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of melted butter. All right. Stir that in good. Now I'm going to add it to this buttered cake pan. And put this in the oven. Okay, this is baked for about 50 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I've cooled it down somewhat so I can handle it, so it's dropped a little bit. It comes out of the oven puffed and golden, but I'm going to loosen it up from the sides now. Normally I would spoon out spoon bread, but I want to make sure you guys get a chance to see the texture of it all the way through. See the texture of spoon bread. All right. Now it's got a nice crust at the top, all right, and a very custardy-like texture moving down. So this is good Virginia spoon bread made with stone ground Virginia white corn grits. Join us next week on Heart of the Home when we get to play with more great Virginia food.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com. Grits are essentially roughly ground corn that's cooked into a mash. Early Virginia settlers brought their grain to the local mill, where it was turned into flour, and the miller kept a percentage of the finished flour as his pay. Almost all colonial-era grist mills used water power to drive the heavy stones. Each farming community usually had a mill to serve local farmers, so they became landmarks and were usually named after the owner or operator. A few historical grist mills are scattered across Virginia today, including one in Steele's Tavern in the Shenandoah Valley and another at Mount Vernon, George Washington's plantation.
We're visiting a community in Southeast Virginia this week that is part of our Agriculture Close-Up series. The city of Chesapeake is determined to keep agriculture alive.
The first English settlement in Chesapeake began in 1620 along the banks of the Elizabeth River. Norfolk County was founded in 1636. From the beginning, it was a major shipping center, offering a protected port close to a strong agricultural community. Several battles were fought here in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. In 1793, work began on the Dismal Swamp Canal, a major trade route first envisioned by George Washington. The city of Chesapeake was created in 1963 when Norfolk County and the city of South Norfolk merged. The area has seen tremendous population growth in the past couple of decades, but city leaders are determined to keep at least part of the city rural.
One of the unique things about Chesapeake is the fact that we have rural open farmland in such close proximity to urban and suburban development, and that creates challenges and opportunities for farmers. Some of the challenges that farmers face are the fact that we have a lot of large, heavy farm equipment that we have to transport up and down public roads.
Byron Stonecipher, president of the Chesapeake Farm Bureau, says grain crops are the biggest money makers in this area, but there are other opportunities to make money.
The major three crops that we do produce in Chesapeake are corn and soybeans, and used to be a lot of wheat grown, but with the current low prices on wheat, the wheat acreage has really been curtailed. And there's quite a few horses in Chesapeake.
Because of the large population, there are opportunities for farmers to tap into direct marketing. We have quite a few farmers who have seized upon that, and they have converted their farm or part of their farm into direct marketing opportunities, either through growing crops like strawberries or pumpkins, U-pick operations, or selling vegetable stands, or perhaps a little store.
The 253 farmers in Chesapeake raise their crops and livestock on more than 45,000 acres. They earn a little more than $40 million a year from the sale of corn, wheat, soybeans, and nursery products. There are a few hog and poultry farms, some sheep and horses, but very few cattle are raised in this very flat farm community.
It's probably the biggest thing that we face in the spring is making sure that farmers run enough field drains to get water off the land. But Chesapeake actually has some of the most productive soils in the state. We had the National Corn Yield Champion in 2016 was right here in Chesapeake. Chesapeake had the #1 wheat producer in the state of Virginia this year, 2017.
Even with the urban parts of the city, Lawrence says Chesapeake still has the second largest amount of farmland in the state. The city's comprehensive plan through 2036 calls for ordinances and zoning laws to enhance and protect farmland from development. Stonecipher says that's good to know, but there is still a struggle to stay in farming when development is so close.
I mean, you can look right up the street there, and there are just, one house right after another going in, and it's always on the most prime, high ground that there's available. That, and we have solar farms trying to move in on us, gobble up a bunch of land. I don't have any problem with solar panels, but I wish they would use some marginal ground or optional ground rather than the prime farmland.
Despite the challenges, farming is still a vital part of Chesapeake's overall economy. It's one of the state's top 10 counties for crop production and #2 in soybeans. Farmers here are proud of the rewarding lifestyle and businesses they've built, and they're eager to pass them on to their children. That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.